Alright, so today's video is unfortunately not going to be a little bit different. Today, we're going to be talking about a creator that I have covered here a couple of times on the channel before, the last time, of course, being for all of the wrong reasons, and that creator is none other than David Pakman. The last time I covered David Pakman was on June 6, 2024 in a video titled, David Pakman's pro-Israel takes are absolutely disgusting. And in the thumbnail here I said, David has horrendous takes on genocide. We're not going to look at any clips here from my old video. If you want to check it out, I do encourage you to do so. But in the video, I showed two clips, one of them, or both of them being from viewers who called in and asked him, or one of them actually confronted him and said, hey man, your pro-Israel takes are kind of really shitty. You're kind of dehumanizing Palestinians here, which is exactly what David does on his show constantly. And the reason I actually wanted to make this video, kind of a follow-up to this video right here, the reason I want to make this video today is because yesterday, on the Majority Report, excuse me, I caught the show live for once, I know, rare. On the show, they were talking about the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people, and they bring up, the reason they brought this up is because of a charity, a bakery that is based in Gaza to help make sure that Palestinians have fucking food because Israel is starving them. But they touch on a family they had been in contact with, a family that was in Gaza. They were able to get out. I think that they said they moved to Egypt. I definitely encourage you guys to go and check out this entire show, especially the segment on the Palestinians, because I think it's really, really good. But they show an individual here. I can't remember his name. They show an individual here, and they've actually interviewed this individual before on the show, I believe. But they show this picture of him, and this is from a couple of years ago, right? And the reason they're showing this picture is to illustrate how Israel has been starving the Palestinian people. Just one of the ways that they are going about completely obliterating the Palestinian people, right? And they show this picture right here, and they say, well, this is one from a couple years ago, and this is what he looks like then. And then they show this picture. This is the same person that I just had on the screen. It's the same person that they just threw up on the screen. This is the same individual, and you can tell if you have fucking a brain, you can tell this individual has lost an astronomical amount of weight, and they do not look healthy, right? And to say that it's gut-wrenching, to say that it's heartbreaking would be a fucking understatement, right? It's absolutely disgusting. It makes your stomach churn. It makes you just sick. There's not words that can describe how horrible Israel, all of the horrible things that Israel is doing to the Palestinian people right now. And David Pakman, who on his own channel right here, the David Pakman Show is one of the most watched independent progressive programs. He calls himself a progressive, right? He says, I'm one of the biggest progressives in the entire world. I have one of the biggest shows, 3.29 million subscribers on YouTube. Big show, big guy, big media figure, got invited to the White House, this, that, and the other. But if you look at his rhetoric, and that's what we're going to do in this video, if you look at his rhetoric regarding the genocide of the Palestinian people by Israel, by Netanyahu, by the Israeli government, we can see that David isn't really that progressive on this issue. So what I have here is I searched Hamas under David Pakman's videos just to see how many times he has talked about or attacked Hamas in his coverage that he does. And there's a lot of videos where he says, you know, Hamas is bad, Hamas this, Hamas that. There's some old ones. I have some of the stuff pulled up here. We're actually going to watch some of these clips here in a minute. You can't be a progressive and justify the Hamas attacks. This is from 10 years ago. Hamas committed war crimes against Palestinians. Hamas doesn't care about the Palestinian people. Left-wing activists cheers for Hamas terrorism. Litmus test for leftists furious at Bernie for telling obvious truth about Hamas. Again, the goal of Hamas is to eradicate Jews. He's very, very critical of Hamas. He's not super critical of Israel, and to David Pakman's credit, he has very long time ago criticized Netanyahu and said that there needs to be a new president, but I feel like that is a very low bar to clear. That's not really enough, right? Especially when we're seeing things like this, right? This is the Gaza Strip in August 2022, and this is the Gaza Strip in November 2023. It literally looks like an apocalypse. It looks like an apocalyptic movie. A movie where everything gets destroyed. It's a wasteland. That's literally what this picture shows. I think this picture, or these two pictures, I should say, speak 1,000 words But let's see what David Pakman has to say about Israel. Again, we're going to watch some of these clips. He says some stuff about Israel, but he's kind of taken a step back since October 7th, 2023, and he doesn't really talk about this, and he really wasn't talking about it too much before. Again, there were some old there were some older clips of him talking about this. There's an old one right there 7 years ago. How are right-wingers pro-Israel and anti-Semitic? But one thing that I thought was really, really interesting, and I did a lot of digging to try and find if he had ever talked about this. I searched the word genocide on his videos, and I found this, a short from 3 years ago that's titled Joe Biden Accuses Putin of Genocide. And we're going to watch this here. And I tried to find a clip of him saying that, you know, what's happening to the Palestinians, which is very obvious, again, to anyone that's not a paid shill, to anyone that is not completely brainwashed, to anyone that is not Islamophobic piece of shit, a racist piece of shit, a pro-Israel piece of shit, that the Palestinians are going through, again, something that is completely unspeakable, unbearable, right? Here is David Pakman agreeing with Joe Biden that Putin is committing a genocide in Ukraine. But again, there's no clip of him using the word genocide when it comes to the Palestinians. Here it is.
Joe Biden has now accused Vladimir Putin of committing genocide. We all knew it, but
we all knew it. You heard what he said. We all knew it. This is from April 22nd, 2022. He made this video, right? We all knew it. And what's happening in Ukraine is obviously fucking terrible, right? But you heard what David Pakman said. We all knew it.
Genocide, we all knew it, but when Joe Biden does it, when the president of the United States does it, it is a big deal politically, and Biden did it.
Your family budget, your ability.
We don't need to watch the clip of Biden saying this, but he said, you know, when the president says that there's a genocide being committed, it's a big deal, right? Well, it's also a big deal when content creators, so-called progressives, again, he calls himself right here, the David Pakman Show is one of the most watched independent progressive programs in the country. When you call yourself a progressive, it's important when you have over 3 million subscribers to call out when you see a genocide. But he has no problem doing it when it's the Ukrainian people, right? When it's Putin invading Ukraine, to David Pakman, that's a genocide. But when it's the Palestinians, somehow it's different. We have another clip we're going to take a look at here. This is titled Objectivity in the Israel-Palestine War.
Bunch of people wrote in.
I feel like this clip is a very good representation of what David Pakman thinks about the Palestinians, about the genocide. And the fact of the matter is he's just wrong. And he's honestly just a piece of shit. I can't get past this. I cannot say it any other way. I feel like I'm being nice when I say that. He does not care about the Palestinian people. He does not care that they are going through a genocide. He does not care that they are being starved. He does not care that 92% of all homes, of all Palestinians' homes, have been fucking destroyed. He does not care about hospitals being bombed. He does not care about innocent civilians, children, being fucking murdered by the IDF. He does not care about that shit. Here it is.
A bunch of people wrote in saying, David, you are simply biased because you're Jewish. Not religiously. I'm culturally Jewish, ethnically Jewish. And so I saw...
And I know you guys like to let me... I should let the clip play, excuse me. But I just want you guys to sit there for a second and predict what he's about to say. Because it is so fucking terrible and stupid and just astronomically unfair what he says here. Let's just keep playing.
Dozens of comments and got a handful of emails from people saying, they like me well enough, but on this issue, I can't be trusted because I'm Jewish and therefore biased. This is a really scary right-wing argument that the right has used for decades to dismiss the opinions of people they don't want to listen to. It's a bad argument, and I'll tell you why. In whatever way I am biased for being Jewish, you would have to argue any Palestinian is also biased for being Palestinian. And what that gets us to is, so I guess you can't be Jewish or Palestinian to be able to comment without bias. So therefore, who is it that we're listening to?
I can't. I'm laughing because I cannot believe that he said that, and I'm supposed to take that seriously, right? Like on the Majority Report, they like to have fun with stuff. They have the fun half, whatever, and they make jokes and shit. He's being serious here, right? And the reason that this makes me laugh is because there is one side of this that has all of the power, right? There is one side that holds all of the power, can stop doing what they're doing, can stop the genocide right now, and that is Israel. They have all of the fucking power. Israel wants to sit there and say, this is about eliminating Hamas. It's never been about eliminating Hamas. It's been about eradicating the Palestinian population. Since far before October 7th, I don't need to say that to my audience. Again, here is a clip, and we can watch it. It's just going to make me angry. Here's a clip that was actually, this was posted to his channel, I'm pretty sure too, but I found it on Twitter. Hamas appears to bomb their own hospital. Israel blamed. And again, there is basically nothing left of Gaza. Israel has completely obliterated, flattened it, right? And David Pakman is still, he's sitting there spewing IDF talking points. I know this is from 2023. I know it's old. But he has not spoken out about this. He does not speak about this. He doesn't speak about this because his audience calls him out because he calls himself a progressive. That's what he claims to be. One of the biggest progressive YouTube channels on the platform. One of the biggest progressive news shows. Whatever the fuck he wants to call himself. And yet, when it comes to the Palestinians, he just doesn't care. In fact, he just does not give a shit about Palestinian lives. And he is very pro-Israel. That's the best way I can put it without saying stuff that I probably shouldn't say on the platform.
We have democratic countries who, if they make a mistake or lie, are subject to negative consequences, saying this wasn't Israel. They've released information, radar, audio, video. Internal assessments agree. This was not Israel. On the other hand, you have a terrorist authoritarian group with no checks and balances and no consequences for lying, saying it was Israel. And if you don't believe that there's no consequences to lying, there are still members of Congress who on Monday tweeted Israel killed 500 people at a Gaza hospital. Now that it's abundantly clear that it wasn't Israel, they have not deleted their tweets. Some of them have even doubled down. Right now.
Right. Calling out Rashida Tlaib, who is one of the best progressive members in Congress, one of the people that has stood on business when it comes to calling out Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people. Calling her out, yeah, you're definitely a progressive on this issue, David. You 100% got it. Again, we know for a fact Israel lied about this, right? We know that they lied about that. I have covered that in videos before. We've got a lot here that we could cover, but we're not going to watch all the clips. Here is a clip. We're not going to watch this one. Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war has been remarkable. Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war, I love that framing. I love that framing. It's almost like he's scared now to say the word Palestinian or talk about Palestinians like they're human beings, because that's what they are, right? But we can't humanize the Palestinians. No, not even on one of the biggest progressive independent media shows, right? We can't humanize the Palestinians. No. Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war was fucking horrendous. Kyle Kalinske, Hassan Piker, Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland, the Tabernacle, all of these, Mehdi Hassan, all of these progressive voices know that Biden did so shit on, on the, according to David, Israel-Hamas war, genocide of the Palestinian people, is what it should say. But he's too afraid to use that word. Hamas doesn't care about the Palestinian people. Again, left-wing activist cheers for Hamas terrorism. Hamas, this is one of the older ones that I already showed earlier in the video, but the point I was trying to make with this video, again, it was kind of a follow-up to the video I made last year, is that you cannot call yourself a progressive. You cannot sit there and say, I'm a progressive, and then sit there and be pro-Israel, be pro-IDF, sit there and use IDF talking points, sit there and not humanize the Palestinian people. You cannot sit there and claim to be a progressive if that's really what you think. And fuck David Pakman for, again, doing everything he can in his power to shill for Israel, to be this horrible, horrible human being. Again, it's really hard for me to, get through this video without, just going off on rants and stuff. But again, recently, I'm gonna end it with this. Recently, a former Green Beret who was working in Gaza as basically a mercenary, who was working in Gaza at some aid sites, uh, basically came out and said, the United States and Israel are committing atrocities that are so horrible that if you saw it with your own eyes, which we have seen it with our own eyes, through through the power of social media, he's sitting there saying, this is disgusting. It is horrible. It is beyond despicable. It is unspeakable. What is happening to the Palestinian people? It is a genocide. David Pakman, Brian Tyler Cohen, the two biggest names in the supposed progressive media space, cannot sit there and call themselves progressive if they are not going to call out Israel for committing a genocide against the Palestinian people. That is going to be it for this video. I'm not going to do my normal outro. I don't feel like it would be appropriate for this video. But I do really want to hear what you guys thought of this video and what you think of David Pakman showing his true colors. Again, I covered this before. Showing his true colors when it comes to the genocide of the Palestinian people.